The first day you take creatine usually feels completely ordinary. No sudden surge of strength, no visible change in the mirror. You might even wonder if you just swallowed something that does absolutely nothing. But that's only because the most important changes are happening far beyond what you can see or feel. As soon as creatine enters your body, it isn't treated as a foreign substance. Your system already knows it well. Creatine is naturally produced in your liver and kidneys. So this isn't something new, you're simply providing more of what your body already understands how to use. This time, however, there is more of it available, and your body responds with precision. Most of that creatine is transported directly into your muscles, where it's stored like fuel reserved for moments that demand fast, powerful energy. At the same time, a process that's widely misunderstood begins to take place. Water is drawn inside the muscle cells, not under the skin, not into soft tissue, and not as bloating. This is an internal cellular adjustment. A well-hydrated cell is a more stable cell better equipped to manage energy, maintain balance, and operate under stress. This isn't swelling, it's preparation. What makes this phase so strange is that you feel none of it. There's no signal telling you your body is upgrading itself. But at the microscopic level, the tiny energy factories inside your cell structures called mitochondria begin to shift how they respond to energy demand. They don't suddenly produce more power. Instead, they become more ready, faster to respond, more efficient when the call for energy arrives. This is why scientists often say creatine works long before you ever notice it. The first day isn't about becoming stronger. It's about becoming prepared to be stronger. A foundation is being laid quietly, precisely, and without spectacle. And this foundation isn't just for athletes. It matters for anyone who uses energy every day, carrying groceries, climbing stairs, sitting upright for hours, thinking clearly, managing stress. Creatine doesn't perform miracles on day one. It does something more dangerous to stagnation than instant results ever could. It turns your body into a system that is ready for higher performance even before you realize it. Once that quiet preparation is in place, the real story begins to unfold beneath the surface. Every movement you make, no matter how small, depends on a molecule called ATP. You can think of ATP as the body's energy currency. Each time you stand up, lift an object, or even form a thought, ATP is spent. The problem is that ATP runs out almost instantly. Within seconds, the supply is depleted, and without a way to replenish it quickly, fatigue sets in. This is where creatine changes the rules in a subtle but powerful way. Instead of allowing ATP to disappear and leave your cells scrambling, creatine acts like a rapid recycling system. The moment ATP breaks down, creatine helps rebuild it, restoring usable energy almost immediately. There's no rush of stimulation, no artificial spike. The energy simply doesn't collapse as fast as it normally would. At first, this doesn't feel dramatic. You don't suddenly feel stronger or more alert. What changes is the space between effort and exhaustion. Tasks that usually drain you begin to feel slightly more manageable. You recover faster between movements. The sharp edge of fatigue dulls, not because you're pushing less, but because your cells are handling energy more intelligently. What's often overlooked is how universal this effect is. Energy isn't just about workouts. It's about holding posture during long hours at a desk, staying focused through mental strain, and maintaining steadiness when the day demands more than you expected. With a more reliable ATP supply, your body doesn't panic as quickly under pressure. It responds. Over time, this improved energy buffering reshapes how effort feels. Bursts of activity no longer come at such a high cost. Your system becomes less reactive, more composed. Instead of hitting a wall, you slow down more gradually. This is the kind of change that's easy to miss at first, but impossible to unlearn once it's there. Creatine doesn't give you energy out of thin air. It simply prevents energy from slipping through your fingers as quickly as it used to. And in a world that constantly pulls from your reserves, That small difference quietly becomes a powerful advantage. As this steadier energy supply becomes part of your daily rhythm, its effects begin to show up where people usually expect creatine to work in the muscles. But the change doesn't arrive the way most imagine. There is no sudden swelling, no overnight transformation. What happens first is far more subtle and far more important. Your muscles start behaving differently under stress. Inside each muscle fiber, the availability of energy determines how long it can contract, how forcefully it can respond, and how quickly it can recover afterward. With creatine supporting ATP regeneration, muscle cells no longer operate on the edge of depletion. They gain a small but crucial margin of safety. This margin is what allows you to complete another repetition, maintain better form, or recover just a little faster between efforts. At the same time, the internal hydration of muscle cells plays a key role. When water is drawn inside the cell, the environment becomes more stable. Chemical reactions involved in force production and repair occur more efficiently. The cell is less reactive, less chaotic. This stability sends a quiet signal that conditions are favorable for adaptation. Growth pathways become more responsive, not because the muscle is bigger, but because it is better prepared. This is why strength often improves before size. The nervous system learns to recruit muscle fibers more effectively when energy is readily available. Movements feel smoother. Coordination improves. You generate more force not by straining harder, but by wasting less. Many people interpret this early phase as simply feeling stronger, without realizing that their muscles are learning how to work more intelligently. Recovery also begins to change in ways that are easy to underestimate. After exertion, muscle fibers need energy to repair tiny structural disruptions, restore balance, and clear metabolic byproducts. With faster ATP regeneration, these processes become more efficient. Soreness may still occur, but it fades more predictably. Fatigue stops lingering as long. Each session builds on the previous one instead of competing with it. What's important to understand is that creatine does not replace effort. It amplifies the return on effort. The same workout now sends a clearer signal. The same daily movements impose less unnecessary strain. Over time, this compounds. Small improvements in force, stability, and recovery add up to a noticeable shift in baseline capability. Even outside structured training, this adaptation matters. Muscles are constantly working to keep you upright, balanced, and responsive to your environment. When their energy demands are met more efficiently, everyday life feels lighter, not effortless, but less draining. The body stops negotiating with fatigue quite so often. By this point, the pattern becomes clear. Creatine isn't pushing your body beyond its limits. It's removing friction from systems that were already there. And as that friction disappears, strength stops being something you summon occasionally. It becomes something your body can access more consistently, without protest and without drama. As the body grows more efficient at handling physical effort, a quieter transformation begins in a place most people never associate with creatine at all: the brain. While muscles tend to get the spotlight, the brain is one of the most energy-hungry organs you have. Even at rest, it consumes a massive share of your daily ATP. And just like muscle cells, brain cells are limited not by effort, but by how quickly energy can be restored once it's spent. When creatine availability increases, neurons gain access to a more reliable energy buffer. This doesn't create a rush of mental stimulation or a sudden sense of alertness. Instead, something subtler happens. Mental tasks begin to feel less brittle. Focus holds a little longer. Distractions don't fracture attention as quickly. The mind becomes steadier under load. This matters because mental fatigue often arrives before physical exhaustion. Long conversations, complex decisions, emotional regulation, and sustained concentration all drain ATP. Without sufficient buffering, the brain compensates by slowing down, becoming reactive, or disengaging altogether. With creatine supporting energy recycling, that drop-off happens later and more gradually. Over time, This shows up as improved working memory and faster mental recovery between tasks. You may notice that switching between activities feels smoother, or that you can stay present in cognitively demanding situations without the same level of internal resistance. These changes are not dramatic, but they are measurable, and they compound with consistency. The effect becomes especially noticeable under conditions that strain the brain's energy systems, such as sleep deprivation, chronic stress, or heavy workloads. In these states, ATP availability becomes a bottleneck. Creatine helps widen that bottleneck, giving neurons the resources they need to maintain signal quality even when conditions are less than ideal. There's also an interesting pattern seen in individuals who consume little creatine through their diet, particularly those who eat little or no animal protein. For them, brain creatine stores tend to start lower. Supplementation often produces a more pronounced shift, reinforcing the idea that creatine's cognitive role is not theoretical, but deeply biological. What's important here is that creatine doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't add information or creativity. It simply reduces the energy cost of using what you already have. Thoughts move with less friction. Recovery between moments of effort becomes easier. The brain spends less time managing its own fatigue and more time functioning. As this mental steadiness takes hold, it subtly reshapes how you experience daily life. Stress feels less overwhelming. Focus feels less fragile. You're not pushing harder. You're leaking less energy. And in a world that constantly demands attention, that quiet efficiency becomes one of the most valuable adaptations your body can make. As these physical and mental adaptations settle into place, a broader picture starts to emerge. Creatine is no longer something you feel working. It becomes something your body quietly relies on. Energy stops fluctuating as wildly. Recovery becomes more predictable. Effort feels cleaner, less costly. This is the stage where most of the myths around creatine begin to fall apart. One of the most persistent misconceptions is that creatine causes unhealthy water retention. What actually happens is intracellular hydration water stored inside the cell, where it supports chemical stability and structural integrity. This kind of hydration protects cells under stress rather than burdening them. Muscles don't become soft or swollen. They become more resilient. The cell is better equipped to handle force, heat, and repeated contractions without breaking down as quickly. Another common fear is kidney damage. In healthy individuals, decades of research consistently show no harm when creatine is used at standard doses. Confusion often arises from elevated creatinine levels in blood tests, which reflect creatine metabolism, not kidney failure. The body regulates creatine storage naturally. Excess isn't forced into cells. It's simply not retained. Creatine is also not a stimulant. It doesn't hijack your nervous system or push you into overdrive. There is no artificial urgency, no crash. Its effects are rooted in availability, not excitation. Because of this, creatine doesn't demand cycling or strategic timing for most people. Once cellular stores are saturated, the system stabilizes. What makes this stage important is consistency. With creatine supporting energy systems day after day, progress compounds instead of resetting. Physical training becomes cumulative rather than interrupted by lingering fatigue. Mental resilience improves not because stress disappears, but because the cost of handling stress decreases. This has implications beyond performance. As people age, muscle mass and strength naturally decline, largely because recovery capacity shrinks. Creatine helps preserve that capacity. It doesn't stop aging, but it slows the loss of functional strength. In daily life, this translates to better mobility, balance, and independence. At this point, creatine reveals its true nature. It isn't a shortcut. It's infrastructure. It reinforces the systems that allow effort to matter. When energy recycling is efficient, adaptation becomes sustainable. And sustainability, not intensity, is what ultimately shapes long-term health. Creatine doesn't transform your body overnight. It transforms how your body manages energy, quietly, reliably, without drama. From the first day, it prepares cells to operate more efficiently. Over time, it strengthens the link between effort and adaptation, both physically and mentally. Muscles recover with less resistance. The brain resists fatigue more gracefully. Energy stops slipping away unnoticed. This is why creatine has endured while countless supplements have faded. Its effects are not exaggerated. They are fundamental. It doesn't promise more than your body can deliver. It simply allows your body to deliver more of what it already has. In a world obsessed with stimulation and instant results, creatine offers something rarer: stability. And stability, when compounded over months and years, quietly becomes strength.